Hi everyone, so this is a response video to this viral petition that is taken off on the UK Parliament website. Um, just a quick thing about that website. I have signed it before for various things. It's relatively straightforward. You have to provide an email address and then click on your email in order to confirm it. Um, there's a bit of a vetting thing in that sense, the fact that you have to click on your email, but it is not foolproof. And the reason I mention that is because this petition at the time of speaking has almost 3 million signatures, which would make it definitely one of the strongest petitions in this country in recent years. I don't know if it's actually already broken a record in the UK Parliament side. It wouldn't surprise me if it has. Um, but can we be absolutely sure that there aren't duplicates? For example, people using second emails to sign twice under a different name. It's plausible. Um, but even assuming that most of these signatures are genuine, let's even say they're all genuine. Okay, let's say the website's secure and they're all genuine. The UK has about 68 million people. So far, this has about 3 million, it's coming up to 3 million signatures. That's a lot of people, but clearly isn't the voice of everyone. Um, I mean, that's roughly like the population of Greater Manchester or the West Midlands County, where the petition starter, a man called Michael Westwood, is from. He runs a pub in Oldbury in the Black Country, and he said the reasoning for starting this petition was his frustration with Labour's broken promises. Well, I think the man's telling the truth in terms of his own frustrations, and he came across as a pretty normal guy. Um, but by his own admission, he's voted Tory. So we're not talking here about a lifelong Labour member who feels let down. That doesn't mean the petition's illegitimate, but it's just a bit of background. Um, Also, the petition, no surprise, has been endorsed by Sir Michael Caine, Nigel Farage, Kelvin Mackenzie, among many others, of course. Now, is it really surprising that right wing figures are supporting a petition to remove a Labour government? When he was asked about this directly, Keir Starmer said he knows full well that many people didn't vote for the Labour Party. But that's not how we do general elections in this country. And he's right. I mean, I'll say right now, I will not be signing the petition. Um, and there's a few reasons for that. Firstly, it's not that I'm a big fan of the Labour government. I've been pretty vocal on areas that I disagree, and some of those things I feel strongly about. I think Labour has very mixed messaging on crime. I do not like some of their approach to that. I do think there's a problem with non-crime hate incidents being utilised, although I think it's unfair to blame the Prime Minister on every aspect of policing. So, for example, the snide comment about two-tier care, should really be two-tier police. I do think there's something in that. I don't think it's a far-right conspiracy theory. I do think the police have really lost a lot of public trust in recent years with some of the approach that they've taken. I do not think that they should be policing hurt feelings above someone getting burgled or assaulted, for example. Um, Yes, if there's a explicit threat of violence, I think that should be followed up. Even if you get, for instance, explicit bullying of an individual, because as we know, young people sometimes take their lives over that sort of thing. Um, Simply having a politically incorrect joke or making a mistake on some information, I think that's down to individuals to argue about it, block each other. They can even take someone to civil court for libel or something like that. But I don't think it should be a police matter. I really don't. But again, that's something that was going on before Starmer got to power. It's this thing about the right where they seem to think Keir Starmer is responsible for things that were going on even before he was in power. That's ridiculous. Of course, the Prime Minister's questions today, it was a very testy session, and Kemi Badenoch jumped on top of this. She told him to resign. Well, obviously, the point of Prime Minister's questions is for the leader of the opposition to hold the government to account. But I'm not overly impressed by Badenoch, I have to say. For example, she accused Starmer of hobnobbing in Brazil. Well, she knows full well he was attending the G20 summit. which is a major international summit. It's absolutely part of a prime minister's job to travel. You could argue Starmer's maybe been abroad too much, but it would be absurd to expect the prime minister of the United Kingdom not to travel as part of his job to meet other leaders. Because if he didn't do that, you could be absolutely sure Kimmy Badenoch would be saying, "Why isn't he there? He lacks leadership." Um, and I think, Prime Minister's questions is back to the old Punch and Judy thing. I think people are put off by it. But I do see a lot of right wing hypocrisy here. I mean, for one thing, this hasn't really been brought up. I'm bringing it up. We heard for years that anyone who questioned the results of Brexit, anyone who said this isn't working out, and certainly anyone who suggested we have another referendum, which by the way was not me, I've never called for that, but they were attacked as remoaners. They were accused of not respecting the democratic results of the referendum. And yet, what we have here with this petition is people who probably, for the most part, did not vote Labour. They probably voted Tory or Reform. They don't like the result. They don't like the Labour government, and now they're pushing for a general election. So I would not at all be surprised if a lot of them were the same people who were, smearing others as remoaners because they wanted another referendum. So if your whole thing is about respecting democracy, then yes, you could be angry with the Labour government, but accept the fact that they had a mandate to govern. Um, this idea of just doing a rerun because you don't like the results, I don't agree with that. Um, Now, if we were in a situation, like I said, there's things I don't agree with Labour on. Another area is, I mean, there's a lot of things. I don't like Starmer's stance on China. I don't like the fact that Rachel Reeves was using the same sort of populism as the Tories to attack welfare claimants, to attack the disabled, to attack disabled claimants, whatever way she glosses it over. I feel very frustrated with Labour. But one other reason I won't be signing this petition is because if we have a general election, in the unlikely event the Tories get back into power, I mean, the things I'm frustrated about, I don't really trust any other party to do any better than Labour. Right now, I'm politically homeless. It's one thing I would have in common with the guy that started this petition. I don't fully trust any party. Now, he said that he was a Tory voter, but he wasn't representing any party. We'll have to take his word for that. But, I think a lot of people signing this will be, they just hate Labour because it's Labour. They were never going to vote for Labour in the first place. And as for the farmers' protests in London recently, the Tories had plenty of protests. I do sympathise with farmers in the sense that it's a difficult job and it's often generational, whereby if it's not taken over by children, it dies. And they are, after all, the people providing food on our table. So I do have sympathy for them. Although even some of the farmers at that protest acknowledged that, those with huge farming estates probably should be taxed. Um, but in the end of the day, to use an overused statement, but it is true, no government is going to please everyone. And I've just watched Good Morning Britain, their segment on this. Ed Balls asked a very reasonable question. He said that the Tories had broken promises. They didn't reduce the number of boat crossings, etc. And they said, did you call a petition then? And the man admitted he didn't. So I think his frustrations are legitimate about broken promises. Susanna Reid asked, should there be a legally binding commitment for politicians to carry out manifesto promises? And he said, absolutely. I think a lot of people would say, well, that's reasonable. But I think people will question, um, okay, you are someone who's voted Conservative, and this is a Labour government. I mean, I do not believe that there is a mandate here for a general election because 3 million people is a lot of people, but we have 68 million people in this country, and a lot more people voted for Labour. I don't know what the final figure is. I think it was approaching 12 million, or I could be getting that figure wrong because it was a lower turnout than previous years. But regardless, Labour was the biggest party by far. They won a landslide, and they got a lot more votes than the votes on this petition. Now, if the votes on this petition surpass how many votes Labour got in July, then I would say there's ground for a general election. Otherwise, I don't think there is. And there's also a practical point. Um, if we call general elections every time governments make unpopular decisions, nothing's ever going to get done because every government makes unpopular decisions. Every government is pretty much guaranteed to upset someone. If we change government every time that people don't like government policies, we're just going to have a different government every year. And we will look unstable. We will be unstable. It won't do anything for market stability. So actually, small business owners shouldn't favor that. They should want market stability in that sense. I mean, you don't have to be an economist to say that. Um, It used to be, I remember The Economist got complaints from the Italian embassy because they had a cover sort of depicting Britain like Italy on the grounds that Italy is infamous for changing its government a lot. They've had something like 50 premiers since the end of World War II. And in 2022, when after Truss's disastrous budget, it was sort of saying Britain's turning out like Italy. Well, if we change governments every year, we'll look unstable. Actually, the current Italian Premier, Giorgia Meloni, has been in power for longer than most. That's beside the point. Another big, big red flag for me in all of this is Elon Musk. Now, Musk has a right to his opinion, but what he doesn't have a right to do is dictate to the British Prime Minister. Elon Musk is not a British citizen. Frankly, he should mind his own damn business. Can have his opinion about whatever he wants. We all know Musk is his big cheerleader for free speech. Well, those defending Elon Musk versus Keir Starmer, my question to you is, if you truly believe in free speech, does Keir Starmer not have a right to defend himself? Does Keir Starmer not have a right to push back, defend his government? I think he does. Elon Musk isn't a British citizen. He's a South African who I'm not sure if he has American citizenship now, but he's not British. So this doesn't directly concern him. He can have his opinions on it, but the fact that he is parroting this petition, I'm not going to get into conspiracy theories and say like the man who started it is, I think he done it for the reasons he said. I don't think there's any ground to say a conspiracy there. But Elon Musk, to me, that should be a red flag in signing the petition. Elon Musk is a liar. He spreads disinformation on his platform. And people, this is the thing that really pisses me off. They always say it's about free speech, but with words, there's responsibility. When you have the power and influence that Elon Musk has with his 200 million followers, and you regularly spread lies, that that has real consequences. I mean, some of the crap that Musk comes out with, for example, there'll be 1 million people on Mars in the next few decades. It's easy to laugh at it, but there's a serious side to this. Elon Musk is a flamethrower. I used to think he was just an eccentric billionaire, but since he's forayed into politics, I just think he's utterly contemptible, because he's propping up someone like Donald Trump, who is a demagogue, a convicted criminal. It's a disgrace, and weighing off subject here, but it's a disgrace that that judge has thrown out the case against Donald Trump on the grounds of him influencing the violence at the Capitol. But anyway, I digress. But the point I'm making here is I just find it astonishing that people think the world's richest man, Elon Musk, is someone who speaks for them. Elon Musk will jump on any bandwagon that suits him. Elon Musk is a businessman first and foremost, and he knows controversy sells. He's not stupid. He knows it sells. He knows that his feud with the British Prime Minister is great for little likes. But Starmer is quite unpopular at the moment, so I just think it's very cynical, and he's not British. So, what right does Elon Musk have to demand that Starmer calls a general election? He has no right to say that. If he was a British citizen, he can say that. He could sign the petition or whatever. But the fact that he's being a cheerleader for this should be a red flag to anyone. So no, I will not be signing the petition. I don't think it's legitimate until more people sign that petition than those who voted for Labour in the general election, whatever the final result was. I'll admit that it's a popular petition. I'll admit that it's got a lot of traction. But like I say, What about the Tories' broken promises? And Kimmy Badenoch jumping on top of this, she should focus more on making her own party electable again. You know, she said that we'll look in on how where we went wrong. Well, so far she's spent her entire time as leader of the opposition attacking Starmer, and yes, that is part of her job. But she's literally spent all her time doing that, instead of saying what the Tories would do better. You know, Starmer was right to push back and say that they had 14 years. None of this is an endorsement of the Labour Party. I just don't want to see a situation where every time we don't like a policy, we change government. Because no government is going to please everyone. You know, I could be angry with Labour because of their stance on welfare, their stance on crime, or what have you. We'll have a general election in a few weeks, and then, someone else gets into power who will let us down. I just don't think it's a good thing to constantly have general elections or referendums whenever one side doesn't get its way. That's how I see this right now. I mean, of course, there's no way to know the voting intentions of every signature, but I would not at all be surprised if the Reform Party members, Tory voters, Reform voters, maybe a few Liberal Democrats, maybe a few dissatisfied Labour, but Keir Starmer had a mandate in July. That's the reality. He was democratically elected. Elon Musk sure as hell wasn't. Um, because it's well past the threshold, this will be debated in Parliament as it should be. Um, but I just don't think there should be another general election for a few years. Um, I mean, on this, the only way I would change my view on that is if it got so awful that there was really violence in the streets. That Starmer was really. I have strong views on the government, but do I hate Keir Starmer? No. I don't like everything he stands for, but do I hate the man? No, I don't. And I would frankly trust Keir Starmer a lot more than I would trust Elon Musk. If it comes down to Starmer versus Musk, I will absolutely support the Prime Minister because I think Elon Musk is an utter charlatan. I think he is beneath contempt. I really do. And I do not like everything Starmer stands for, but to me, Elon Musk is absolutely one of the worst people in the world. I think he's despicable, um, utterly despicable. And this is a man, I'll just end by saying this, who will often mock the Ukrainians. He provides the Starlink services for the frontline troops, but he will often mock Zelensky. He will often mock the Ukrainians when they're fighting for the very country. He strongly denies that he's a Russian asset, but the thing is with the sheer depth of disinformation that is spewed out on X, Elon Musk just doesn't care. He doesn't care about innocent people getting hurt. He doesn't care about the people who were picking up the glass this summer. He just does not care. So I feel sorry for people almost who think that this guy is a spokesperson. They're deluded. Elon Musk does not care about you.